kosa opponenti alelira ngafimbo no mwaka alelira chaimirira tente atana opponenti avente tekwesho kulabeko twafuma no t-shirt ni monemo twapita voti mundubire na makepi bakontrolore iwe mundubire na makepi tubavotere anjejema aletotoma opponenti aletotoma
Tikachite tikumbushane patonto tikumbushane kuti patonto tutuza kuti pano fix it tikumbuka mbona nilapa kuti pano fix it kulia fana nilapa mbai ungapenze pa 150 nze kutika wale pa 50 kwacha mkula 50 kwacha Zakutika kule pa 250 ni 250 lero wanyawawate wanyawipa wambamwe wawenje mkamumbwile wapatisa mjabtimu wawena tatukana wama mkongokti hai wamangewa Ikoza manso wanda kumapili Zoyana, Zoyana,
this beautiful day. Welcome to today's broadcast. Broadcasting from a hotel room in London, and I hope that the network is okay. It's not my usual Starlink network that usually is dedicated. Hotel network is usually just for mobile devices, but a heavy broadcast like this might not carry it. So I ask you, how is it? How's the volume? How is everything? So we will be discussing the possibility of both the opposition and President Hakainde Hichilema as chances for August 2026. What are the chances? I notice a lot of background noise. I think it's my aircon. Let me just switch off my aircon, then I come back to you. Let me just play something. Thank you very much. Today we discuss, so far, 45 days away from the actual elections, who will win. A day in politics, like we say, is a very long time. If you wind down just last month, Brian Mundwil and Makebi Zulu stood no chance of winning this election. We stand here 45 days later and their prospects are so high. So in politics, one day is a very long time, and no one should be complacent. If you wind down to last month, President Hakainde Hichilema was even boasting, they even established a narrative that there was no opposition in Zambia. And they said President Hakainde Hichilema would win with a landslide. They were even boasting that there may be no need even for the campaigns. A month later, there is threat on the doorstep. The opposition might take this election. One day in politics is a very long time. Developments can change even in the next 45 days. I was reading the latest article by Hive Hamududu. Remember, the pinup president. He has put a positive swing, which has become commonplace for the UPND. That number one, President Hakainde Hichilema would win this election with a landslide. That's what Hamududu is saying. What are his reasons? The usual: CDF, debt restructure, free education, that is an incumbent, and he has built up reserves of $6.5 billion, and therefore he will win. I hope to play an audio by Sia One from their blogs. Sia One has expressed concern that they are likely going to lose this election. The President Hakainde Hichilema, promised campaign monies for his councillors, his MPs, his council chairperson and mayors and he said the money was going to flow, even tabulated amounts per week. So far, they're in the second week, and no one has received that money from the councillors. And the councillors are supposed to receive something like 3,000 kwacha, MP and council chairperson 20,000 and 30,000 kwacha, and things like that. The president pronounced those figures in Choma. And so here you have a hopeful narrative by people like Hamdudu. But while in their own camp, there are people that are facing reality, and they're saying, we may face a loss. If you analyze what are the prospects for President Hakainde Hichilema, let's go about what Ivy Hamdudu is stating, that the president is an incumbent. True. He has an advantage of state institutions. And remember, we have cried that he has manipulated institutions like the ECZ, the judiciary, parliament, and the police. These democratic institutions have been used and abused for the benefit of the president and to the disadvantage of the opposition. So he has an advantage that is controlling state institutions. What is number two? The issue of the economy, which many people are touting as a success. For me, I've strongly disagreed. Let's start with the famous debate on debt restructure. First, debt restructure, all you have done is postponed the payment of the debt to a future debt. You are burdening a future government and a future population for these. So for me, it's not a success. I would rather go with position of Namibia and Mozambique, where they just outrightly decided to pay. And debt restructure is extremely expensive. Our debt have been moved from 2027, 2032 to 2048 and 2052. What that means is you'll be paying through your nose hefty amounts of debt service. The debt becomes even more expensive. You will have borrowed $3 billion for the Eurobond, and you might pay up to $10 billion because of debt service and debt service payments. And the last 3 years have shown that Zambia is going to pay monies that are in excess of over $1 billion in debt service alone from 2024, 2025, 2026, 2027. The prospect is above $1 billion every year. The reason the PF defaulted, other than COVID in 2020, is that the debt service had reached a mark of $1 billion, and it was a default point. Here, this government is paying up to $1.2 billion, and they'll be paying like that up to 2048, 2052. So debt restructure is not a success. It doesn't matter how you package it, it's not a success for those two reasons. Number one, debt service is very expensive because of the debt service that you'll be paying per year and usually per month, because that entire money can be paid. It cannot be paid within a month. It's paid in a year, but monthly payments. So it becomes very expensive. It robs any savings, any money that we should be spending on social and economic welfare, looking after our people in the health, education, and social sectors. So debt service is not a success. Number two, you are postponing a debt to a future generation, to future governments. While you sit pretty, you sit easy because you're not paying what you're supposed to pay. The burden is shifted to a future government. So debt service is not a success. Free education, well, everyone wants free education, but Zambians at least tested, especially our parents, tested what free education was. Free education had quality. The number of pupils, learners in the class were reasonable, under 15. When we became worse, under 25 pupils. You have up to now 120 pupils in a class. In fact, the narration by President Hakainde Hichilema that no student, no learner who sit on the floor can't work because 120 people can't sit in a classroom with desks. It's not possible. In fact, I visited a school in Lusaka, and I found that a school had put the desks outside. And I said, what's the meaning of this? And they said, no, the desks are so few that the students are 120. So if we put the desk, they even pick out the spaces that these 100 pupils can. So they put a desk outside. When the kids are seated on the floor, they can fit. That is not free education that President Hakainde Hichilema and this generation achieved. That's not the free education. The free education people are looking for is a quality education, the one that UNHCR describes as free, the one where quality is not compromised in any way. In fact, free education is extremely expensive for those reasons, because you have to build infrastructure you have to employ more teachers. You shouldn't compromise on quality. Free education means you have to provide for everything other than the material that the teachers require. The learners themselves, books, pencils, rubbers, and school material have to be free. One of the most expensive social program is free education. So people think that it's free and therefore it's cheap. No, it's actually extremely very expensive. The $6.5 billion reserves that the Zambian government, that President Hakainde Hichilema and his team, the economic team, have pronounced a matter people like Laura Mitty are very proud of, and they've even teased out. Even my dear sister, Dr. Dora Slia, has put out a question that can we have a future government that can preserve this $6.5 billion? And Monicas have emerged, like what Tabukawana was saying, that the $6.5 billion is out there for looting. This debate just exposes ignorance about what foreign reserves are. Foreign reserves are exactly that. They just usually help with import and exports, and they help you settle the exchange rate that you can intervene in the market when the market becomes volatile. Foreign exchange reserves are not savings. We should distinguish that. And sometimes the politicians, the economists are not helping. I've seen a good write-up by Trevor Sumumba. I've seen a good write-up by Dr. Lubinda Awazoka. And I've seen good write-ups from UPND economists. If you want to make savings for the country, you go for example, for what Nordic countries do. You create a sovereign wealth fund where you deposit your savings and make investment out of it. And some of the best savings in the world, some of those best sovereign wealth funds are like the ones in Sweden. I think it's one of the wealthiest ones. Singapore, South Korea also have sovereign wealth funds. The foreign reserves are used for a specific purpose. First, to cover your imports, and also to cover monetary policies, Bank of Zambia, the central bank's policies like intervening in a volatile market to stabilize your exchange rate. These are not savings. So there's a lot of hey, my dear brother, how are you?
Zero, thanks, and how are you?
I'm on the program. I haven't opened the line. Unless you are telling me that the volume is not okay, or you are telling me that the video is not okay, then I can entertain.
Oh, no. I thought you had opened the line so that I can contribute.
Okay, Zephaniah, let me just finish the narrative, then you can call back.
No problem.
Thank you.
If there is anything, I'll be able to tell you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So the broadcast is fine?
Oh, yes, it's fine.
Okay.
It's fine.
Okay, like I said,
That's how I was able to say, let me be the first caller.
now I'll be opening the lines. Thank you very much. He's a regular caller, Zephaniah Piri, and he contributes very well. And I've since saved his number, and he's a colleague from the party. So that is it, about the $6.5 billion. And there's been a narrative by the PF, by the UPND, especially men like George N. Mutonga, who says the PF left foreign reserves of $1.4 billion. And now Hichilema has grown it to $6.5 billion. First, again, that narrative is totally wrong. President Edgar Lungu left foreign reserves of about $3.1 billion. Remember, he had about $1.8 billion in foreign reserve. And in July-August, the IMF announced a release package of $650 billion to help all its members, 193 countries. Depending on your investment and your shareholding, you got a lot from that $650 billion. This was after the slide in all economies across the world. GDPs were in negative. That's another matter where they ridicule the PF that Hichilema found a GDP that was in negative. The GDP was never in negative. It was negative in 2020 only. By 2021, the economy had recovered and had actually posted a 4.5% economic growth. In fact, President Hichilema inherited an economy with growth points of 4.5% growth rate in GDP. The economy had sufficiently recovered. But in our country, propaganda takes precedence than the facts. So the IMF released $650 billion. Zambia on its own got something like $1.4 billion. This was free money that the IMF gave. They recognized that all economies slumped into negative, including Zambia. There were only two economies that registered a positive growth in 2020. That was Ethiopia at 1.5% and China at 1%. Remember, China grows at 10%, Ethiopia grows at 10%. These were the two only economies in the entire world that didn't post a negative growth rate. Zambia, like any other state in the world, posted a negative growth because the entire value chain, export process, travel shut down in 2020 for a prolonged period of up to over 1 year. If it's China, China actually opened 1 year, 6 months later. They didn't open when the rest of the world was beginning to open in November. They only opened because they have a huge population and, you know, they are militaristic in their approach. So they had to shut down COVID properly. And they only opened, I remember, in 2021 towards the end of May. That's when China began to cautiously open its economy, to cautiously allow its people to go back for work. And remember, the manufacturing center of the world is in China. That is why every economy posted negative growth in 2020. 2021, there was maximum growth. Zambia, because Zambia didn't close its economy, it benefited from those infrequent travel that was coming in, imports, and the markets were not really closed. There were bars, churches opened and closed here and there, but essentially we didn't close the economy. And if you look at your statistics, even now, you can just Google 2021, what was the state of the economy? It was positive. By the end of the year, it had even grown to 4.5% economic growth. So the narrative by the UPND that they found an economy in negative growth, no, they didn't. It was in positive. They had surplus reserves that were $3.1 billion. They had, you know, maize surplus, which was at 3.7 million metric tons. They had surplus of everything, and the price of fuel, price of millimil, price of everything was far cheaper. This has been the indictment against President Hakainde Hichilema. He says he has repaired the economy. Like I'm saying, repair where? Where have you repaired? The infrastructure development that is taking place, Lusaka and Ndola Dual Carriageway, botched contractual processes, PPP that is not PPP, that is milking public pension funds. You know, they are saying they are building a power station in Mamba. You give a private sector using your money, NAPSA money, up to $300 million. So their claim to infrastructure development is neither here nor there. And CDF, their flagship program, we've always stated here that CDF is a misdirected program. It's like people do not understand what decentralization is. CDF is a very small component in decentralization policy. And you and I know why decentralization policy is far broader than CDF. That is why for 5 years, even scaling up the CDF money from 1.6 million kwacha to now 40 million kwacha, you still don't see any discernible development. Other than the release of the funds, because they haven't been releasing the funds, they pronounce it, but then they release bits and pieces. They've never released when it was 28 million, when it was 35, when it's 40. They've never done the full release. But also you can't develop a district, a province, using CDF. CDF is supplemental. The full scale of decentralization requires that you devolve all your funding for water, for education, for health should be run by the council. The council becomes a truly local government. It should even be able to issue with you even a passport, driver's license, should even distribute electricity to you, where ZESCO subcontracts councils to do that. That's what decentralization is. And the planning of the district, the program to develop the entire district doesn't become isolated, because then it complements with what the nation is doing. If you want to develop the country in the manner they are doing CDF, you'll have development that will be disconnected to the country, because the planning is not at constituency, to the district, to the province, and at national level. So you have disconnected ways of development. CDF is only important to the extent that it can help local issues. But if you have to develop the country properly, build roads, bridges, dams, if you have to enhance agricultural sector, which should be the mainstay of our economy than copper, clearly you don't need CDF. You need a robust development program than what they present. Why is the UPND so unpopular across the country? The cost of living. I think the UPND have not understood the issue of the cost of living. The cost of living crisis is one of the reasons people voted PF out, other than the peripheral issues of political violence and allegations of corruption. The main issue PF was voted out of power was the issue of the cost of living. Our people said the prices of things were very expensive. Remember, the UPND had even had the famous song, Civil Servant Ushena Ufola. The issue was about the economy. What's the state of the economy is far worse than it was in 2021. The cost of living was at 8,000. It's now sitting at 12,300 kwacha. So the price of goods and services, how much was fuel, electricity, how much was meal, how much was everything? They've trebled and quadrupled. So when you say you've restored and recovered the economy and the economy is on the growth path, those graphs just appear on paper. They have not translated to the lives of our people. Why was the PF voted out? Corruption. The corruption under this government has trebled. Look at the statistics from Financial Intelligence Center. They've risen from $500 million in illicit financial flows to $3.5 billion. So for me, those are the negatives to the UPND winning these elections. They have not attended to the cost of living crisis. And like I've said, technically, their so-called success, CDF, free education, and debt restructure, are things you really can see are not where they should be. The issue of the foreign reserves of $6.5 billion, like I'm saying, I'll challenge anyone. The purpose of those foreign reserves are not savings at all. They are to secure you for your trade market, your foreign trade market, that instead of having import cover of 2 months, which $3 billion does, if you have 6.5, you have a coverage of about 5 to 6 months. So your imports are secure, and your exchange rate becomes is no longer volatile, because you'll have money ready every time that import bill comes up. If anyone wants to build savings for our country, we should do things like the sovereign funds that other nations do, because those are your savings. You barely touch them, and you can see them grow. The foreign exchange, if our copper exports for one reason or another slump, and the trade deficit becomes higher, your foreign reserves quickly dwindle, because there'll be very little copper earnings coming into the country that should build your reserves. So if we have to have a meaningful debate about the $6.5 billion, well, let's discuss sovereign wealth fund. For me, that would be more reasonable, because those are actual savings. Not current account, because you are going to draw it again and again. But if you remove your money from your current account, or a check account as they call it, you take it into your savings account, and you lock them sometimes into time deposits of 14 days, 21 days. There we can talk, because now you are creating savings, and you are saying, I'll not touch this money for the next 21 days. But if your money is rising and falling in your current account, come on. That's what it is for foreign reserves. Those are just in the current account of what we have to cover our imports. And now come to the issue that Brian Munduile has related when I discuss the opposition. What are the chances of President Hakainde Hichilema winning elections? From the political side, they are saying the opposition have not covered many constituencies and many councillors especially, and that this leaves a gap for the UPND to win elections, because they've covered, for the UPND, they've covered almost 100% of all the 226 constituencies. And in politics, your campaign manager is your councillor, your campaign manager is your candidate for MP, your campaign manager is your council chairperson candidate, your campaign manager as a president is the mayor. So for the opposition, this is a very big weakness. If you do not have these people who should be making noise for you every morning, every day, it becomes a gap for you. And if the UPND have candidates from council, councillors, mayors, council chairperson and MPs at every level in all the 226 constituencies, you have to pay attention. As the opposition and as a strategy, you have to recognize that there is a gap. How do we fill that gap? You can't just rely on goodwill that Kurichmuela, Abantu, they are hungry and therefore they will vote for us. Politics is beyond that. It doesn't work like that. And we've seen in previous elections. So yes, that is an advantage to President Hakainde Hichilema, that he has featured from the council chairperson, mayors, and members of parliament. These translate to be their campaign managers for the presidential vote, at local level. So if we have gaps in certain constituencies, that gap, the opposition in the next 45 days have to see what to do. The issue of vote protection on this program, we've consistently discussed vote protection and unity of the opposition. Our election is run at a polling station. You've seen those notes flying around WhatsApp groups. There's a gentleman called Evans Hichilema. Evans Hichilema is, we don't know if he's related to the president, but I know him, that Evans Hichilema was a teacher at Luitikila Girls. He's always worked in Muchinga and Northern Province. I don't know if he's related to the president, but Evans Hichilema, who's currently an assistant secretary. An assistant secretary at the province is number 3 from the permanent secretary, or number 4 from the minister. The structure at the province, you have the minister, you have the permanent secretary, you have the deputy permanent secretary, then you have the assistant secretary. So Evans Hichilema is assistant secretary. So his messages from his WhatsApp groups has leaked, where he's calling on teachers to be recruited as poll staff, and that ECZ have advertised and is making recommendations for poll staff to be recruited from Muchinga, Luapula and Northern Province, and is the one that is managing that process. Elections are at a polling station. There are 13,500 polling stations. Does the opposition have capacity to monitor the 13,500? Does the opposition have capacity to chase the UPND when the UPND come the way Trevor Mwinde does, come to kick out your monitors? Do you have capacity to repel that? Will you rely on people to vote? Because now there is a law that when you vote, you leave the polling station. Remember what we were talking about, the electoral process bill, which is now an act. It has provided that a voter must leave after they've voted. So like there are 13,500 polling stations. Can the opposition man those? Number two, there are 9,000 voting centers. So the polling station could be 13,000, but the actual voting centers are 9,000. Meaning sometimes at one school, there could be 4 or 5 polling stations. Those would cause streams in the past. Then you have 226 collation centers where these results will be collected from all the polling centers and taken to a collation center at the constituency level. Then you have 10 provinces. So can the opposition man this election? Can the opposition go beyond the excitement and begin to deal with the technical and electoral process of the election to ensure that you protect the vote? The UPND, since 2011, they've always had what they call a polling center committee. So they identified all the polling centers and they put a polling chairperson. This was to help with PVT, but also to help the integrity of the election at that level. Has the opposition created the polling center committees? So you are not planning from the ward. Okay, the wards are only 1,850. The polling centers are 13,500. So is the opposition planning like the UPND, who have polling center committees? Meaning it's like at a branch level, and you should have a name of your polling center chair. So winning an election is not enough that people are dissatisfied. It's not enough that namkwate chumwela. There's a technical side of an election. Abadama commissioners, Wadia, we might even forgive them. You will win or lose elections. Before we even accuse Mwangala Zalomis, you will win or lose elections at the polling center. Secure that polling center. Invest in the polling center. Invest in the polling center committees. Filawa UPND wakwata. At every polling center committee, they even have a chairperson. And those also act as your immediate voters. Because the polling center committee will be the first on the queue to vote for you. It becomes impossible for a candidate to get a 0 across the country if your polling center committees are effective. Because those are registered, they are in the area, they are among voters, and they'll be the ones casting the vote. And if any candidate begins to receive 0 votes, but you have polling center committees, immediately it begins to show you that there is trouble in this electoral process. There could be no credibility in this process. Lastly, the UPND seems that their center is falling. Okay? We've seen the rise of independent candidates in Southern Province. We've seen the rise of strong opposition like that of Gary Nkombo. The young man in Wengwa is doing very well. That Mwinga, is it Cletus Mwinga? Cletus Mwinga from Wengwa, they've tried to abuse him, they've fought him, they've stoned his vehicles, but he's a very resolute man. And remember, Wengwa is the home of the President Hakainde Hichilema, and you have a Mwinga who's moving people there. Choma, where my dear brother is also not looking very good. There's a very strong independent Monze. So the unilateral manner in which UPND was uniform, homogeneous in Southern Province, that has been broken in this election. And this might spawn 2 things, because the UPND adopted candidates that are not popular. What will happen in Southern Province is there might be great apathy. Remember Dundumwezi was in the news in 2016 and 2021 for the reason that, first of all, they would give something like 0 to Edgar Lungu, and they would give 900 to Ichilema. And and there was a big issue there. If you look at Dundumwezi, you look at his topography, and you had 35,000 voters at the time. And there was an estimation, the number of polling stations that were there, and that data drained. There was no way, after heavy rains in the morning, that 35,000 could turn up at those few polling stations and vote and score up to 34,000, almost 90% of the vote. That gives you a window that there was manipulation, if you look at how elections are done. So the Southern Province, because they've adopted MPs that are not popular, then they have independents. The supporters of President Hakainde Hichilema might stay away. So the 1.2 million people he has registered, he might suffer great voter apathy because of those two factors. Adopting candidates that are not popular, doing people favors, and also there is generally in Southern Province that the benefits of the Hakainde Hichilema has not trickled to everyone, because there was this. It became a regional project that President Hakainde Hichilema should become president of our country. And the benefits have not trickled to everyone. So Southern Province will suffer voter apathy. But they can only suffer voter apathy if you can only witness it in the records if you can man those polling stations. If you will not man those polling stations, you will not. In fact, if there is any place the opposition must monitor and observe elections, is in Southern Province. Because with the factors I've given you, there could likely be voter apathy. But you would see results that are up to 90%. Why? You have to man those votes. You have to man those centers to ensure that no one is artificially ticking those votes. And some people are relying on foreign observers, the EU. Come on. Those are tourists. They come at a provincial center, few reach the district, let alone polling stations. And they usually could be there, they are monitoring media, social media, and newspapers and radio and TV stations, and then interviewing here. They are like third party. This is a job of a political party. The political party must protect the vote itself, no one else. Similarly, Northwestern, we've seen cracks emerge in Northwestern Province, which was another stronghold for the UPND. And it's up for the taking if the opposition can take advantage of that. Similarly, we've seen Western Province. It doesn't add many programs. Other than the new road, Monguli-Mulunga Road, Western Province really hasn't. Western Province is still benefiting from programs and projects of the PF, whether it's Cashew Nuts, whether it's Mongu-Kalabo Road, Kalabo-Sikongo Road, whether it's Mongu-Senanga Road, Mongu-Tapo Bridge. Any of those developments were done under the PF. The UPND have done very little development. So there could be a shift also from Western Province. So the invisibility of the President Hakainde Hichilema, that was there just even 2 months ago, seems ruptured, seems weak. This is breaking at the seams. If the opposition can work together, they can beat President Hakainde Hichilema if they attend to what I've discussed. Let me go to the opposition. Let me just take a break and drink some water. Then I come back to you as we discuss the opposition. What do you think with the analysis I've given so far? President Hakainde Hichilema's incumbency, President Hakainde Hichilema's so-called successes, but he had a lot of issues in cost of living crisis, load shedding, and all these matters, and the so-called successes. What are your views so far? We now go to the opposition. Let me just take a quick break. We go to the opposition and analyze the state of the opposition in the country. When you see the rallies like the Chipata rally, which was cancelled last week and today took place, if you see the momentum that has been achieved so far, let's just backtrack. There were uncertainties around Brian Mundwile and Makebi Zulu. There were even sworn statements by the UPND that the two will not be on the ballot. They ensured that the PF was destroyed in the last 5 years. They put stooges in Robert Chavinga and Mal Sampa. They were very sure that they would not be on the ballot. They tinkered with the law electoral process bill to ensure that only those that appear at the Registrar of Societies would then file their nominations. Tonse Alliance and Brian Mundwile invested in FDD. It was infiltrated and government refused court actions, and they refused to recognize the conference that took place that elected Chifu Banda as president, who in turn appointed Mundwile as a presidential candidate. They attacked FDD. It became so clear that Makebi Zulu, and who had won the elections in the PF, and Brian Mundwile with the Tonse group will not be on the ballot. And you saw people pivoted to Harry Kalaba. They began to look at Harry Kalaba, Fred Membe, and KBF. And among the three, Dr. Fred Membe, KBF, and Harry Kalaba seemed to have been gaining momentum, with the possibility that Brian Mundwile and Makebi Zulu will not be on the ballot. And you saw he had a raft of people joining him at the last. The kind of shift we saw from the PF to Socialist Party in 2022, we began to see it with Citizen First just in the last 2-3 months. But the dynamics, like I said, elections, politics, one day is a long time in politics. Just that week, there were dramatic events. Number one, Makebi Zulu joined hands with Brian Mundwile, and the two had two political parties as special purpose vehicles that appeared to fulfill and circumvent, go around the machinations that had been placed to stop them from participating in elections. Other than FDD, we saw that Brian Mundwile had a special purpose vehicle. Other than the PF, we saw that Makebi Zulu had a special purpose vehicle. And they quickly overcame the hurdles. And as we are speaking, they filed. When they filed successfully, you remember that the day before, the person who was filing at that time was Harry Kalaba, and he pulled the largest crowd. After he filed nominations, he went outside and marched with a large crowd to his secretariat. 2 days later, Mundwile files, and the dynamics immediately changed. One day is a long time in politics. Where we are with the first rally that Brian Mundwile and Makebi held in Kitwe, they followed it up with the other one in Kabwe, and just what has gone on today. Makebi Zulu and Brian Mundwile as presidential candidate has emerged as a front runner with President Hakainde Hichilema. The UPND responded with the issue of crowds, first with narrations that crowds don't determine elections. You saw their surrogates. Mal Sampa said, We danced in 2006. We had the largest crowds, and we said we had won that election, but we were disappointed and we cried. Let me inform Mao Sampa that, in fact, President Michael Sata won the 2006 election. He actually did win that election. And it's for another day to discuss what then actually happened after he won the 2006 elections. He didn't win the 2008 elections. He actually performed poorly because Arabi was a new man and Mwanawasa died. There was a sympathy vote. But Sata won the 2006 elections and the 2011 elections. He didn't win the 2008 elections. If you want facts, we can have a program in which I can tell you. So crowds do matter. When people are comforting President Hakainde Hichilema that he shouldn't worry about crowds, is totally mistaken. Crowds matter. That is why they responded with the Elisha Matambo program on the Copper Belt to try to rival what the Tonse Pamosi Alliance group had achieved. This was to attempt to puncture the momentum that Brian Mundwile and Makebi Zulu had achieved. But they made one cardinal mistake. That entire rally was all uniformed, and there were buses at them. There were a lot of buses behind, and everyone was wearing red. Come on, that's a choir singing to itself. So it doesn't matter how big the rally was by Elisha Matambo. That is a choir singing to itself. Imoba choir is to evangelize and bring people from the streets to your church. No manga mwaikala fe mweka, what have you achieved? You have not done Christ's work. And that's a trouble either with Hichilema's rallies in Choma, is that he's speaking to the same people, his own members. Here, you are supposed to speak to voters. Don't speak to your members. Your members, you deploy them. They should be doing door to door. Your members should be persuading people to vote for you, not turning up at rallies. The people that you want to turn up at rallies are voters. That is why in churches we hold what are called crusades. We leave the church. We go to an open ground and begin to preach to those spaces where people are not our members and try to bring them to Christ. So the UPND response have been terrible. They don't know that at this stage, they have to leave their own choir, stop preaching to your choir, go out there. So the rallies by Makebi Zulu and Brian Mundwile appear to fit that, because you are not seeing NPF regalia. What you are seeing are ordinary people dressed in their own clothes. Someone who says there is no regalia, that is why they are not wearing that regalia. There is some regalia, but what I see are voters seeking answers. Voters seeking, is this the alternative? Is Brian Mundwile and Makebi Zulu truly the ticket that can replace Hakainde Hichilema? And you see curious voters came in Kitwe and they were walking. You didn't see any minibuses. In fact, the UPND ensured that minibuses were grounded the day that Brian Mundwile and Makebi were holding a rally to try to prevent people from coming to the Kitwe playing fields. So you saw people walk to the Kitwe playing fields and walk back. That's a good sign that you are not preaching to the choir, you are preaching to the voters. You are not speaking to job seekers, because that's what President Hakainde Hichilema has managed so far. You are getting job seekers, people that want jobs from you. They are joining you. Those are job seekers. When do we see your voters join you? Your voters should join you at a public rally and in public meetings. If you are bringing Sunday Chanda, Robert Chavinga, those are job seekers. You are not adding any value to your organization. It becomes very difficult. Those are job seekers. What you need is to speak to the voters directly. So far, Makebi Zulu and Brian Mundwile seem to have struck a strong chord with the people of Zambia. Primarily, it could be PF supporters, but you can see these are ordinary Zambians joining them. Look at the rallies they've had just in the last 2 days. Nimba, Katete, and the video I was playing today in Chipata. This is an organization that has movement. It is shaping up, and it is promising to many people that it can unseat the opposition. But like I said, there are deeper things beyond public meetings which you need to do to win an election. Let's go to the second thing, messages. As Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu delivered messages. So one of the things that has immediately come out is that we have moved from the shock of the mass crowds that we are seeing at the rallies to the messages. That has excited me, because now for the first time we are moving debate from who has the largest nose, who has the largest forehead, who has the largest, who's the tallest, who's the shortest, to actual programs that can affect our people. So the commentaries around free education, around farming, around exchange rate, around foreign reserves, for me, I'm very excited that Brian Mundubile, you may criticize him, at least at every rally he's dropping a thought that the country is discussing. That's very good for any candidate. You want, when you speak, in communications we say all publicity is good publicity, negative and positive. So nangu chela tukutaye bat yo mwambanafwa nsekafie. Njero, at least the whole country will think about me today. Those that love me will even pray for me. All publicity is good publicity. So whether the policy proposals that Brian Mundubile is offering from Kitwe, from Kabwe, from Nyimba, from Petauke, from Katete, and now today in Ichpata, that is very good. You'll have economists, academics, you'll have serious people discussing your message. Whether it is for or against, I won't even go into the details or to try to defend what Brian Mundubile is saying. But he is bringing a proposed solution on the table. And the economists, everyone is discussing Mundubile. That's what you need in an election. Set the agenda. So he's setting the agenda. He goes to Kitwe, he drops one for marketeers and Jerabos. He comes to Kabwe, he drops a similar message. He goes to Petauke, he drops a message about maize and that something I've written about several times, and I was glad that Brian brought it. And the critics are trying to criticize that issue of maize and maize drying early. That's what commercial farmers do all the time. They just wait for the maize to dry by April, and they remove it and put it in dryers to remove the moisture content. No one dries fresh maize. No, that's a misdirected of the debate. Even Brian Mundubile didn't say that. When your maize is dry, instead of leaving it to reduce moisture content, you don't have to wait for the sun for 3 months up to July. You can now get it when it is dry, just for purposes of removing moisture content, and you put it in dryers, industrial dryers, so that the farmer doesn't have to wait long periods. The harvest was in February, March, but the farmer is only getting paid in August. With the delays, the farmer is getting paid in another season, January, February. That's unacceptable. So the point is, Brian has achieved that perspective where he's dropping an agenda item and you remain discussing. In Petauke, he says, I would rather that you have fertilizer, that you have good schools, you have roads, you have dams, and your FISIP program is doing well, than have reserves of $6.5 billion. Whatever your angle and thought about it is that he has dropped an idea to you and you remain discussing it in your homes. If you what are they doing? They are discussing the candidate, Brian Mundubile. So in agenda setting, that is very good. And for me as a strategist, I would encourage him to continue dropping unusual solutions everywhere where he drops. Where are the other candidates? Dr. Fred Membe had a hiccup with his running mate. They were trying to scandalize Dolly Kabanda. They've overcome that with a good ruling that came from the Constitutional Court. We haven't seen him hold public meetings, but Dr. Fred Membe issued uncharacteristic statement at the steps of the Supreme Court and said you can't remove Munduvile. I mean, you can't remove Hakainde Hichilema and return to the same people, thieves and plunderers. He used very strong words. It appeared like he was attacking his colleagues in the opposition. Well, that's a controversial issue that attracted attention to him. He could be raising himself above the fray. That look at me, you know, I'm better, I'm more educated, and I'm more frugal, and I'm disciplined when it comes to this issue. Those, for me, attract personal attacks, and people might go for his personal character, maybe his record at the post, his record with taxes. It just brings out, you know, when you attack, you should wait, you should expect also attacks against you. Hari Kalaba has been holding public meetings. We saw he went to Mandevu. We saw he went to Lilanda. He's doing walkabouts. And we saw he was in Ngombe. So the visibility has been there, but not as expansive as the guys that are holding mass rallies. But is in those areas, he's also getting some people following him. And today we saw a picture of him and Brian Munduvile. Something is cooking up there, which we've always encouraged on this program, that the opposition must talk, must work. Like I just laid out the work that is ahead. To monitor 13,500 polling stations is a lot of work that can be done by one political party. It might require the collaboration of KBF, of Dr. Fred Membe, and Hari Kalaba and others. It cannot be a work that can be done by Munduvile alone in just the next 5 weeks that is remaining. The resources required, the manpower, human, staffing, and training, it just can't be done by one political party. So that meeting that we saw Fred Membe and, Honorable Hari Kalaba and Brian Munduvile hold that meeting, that's very encouraging. And when I posted the picture, there was a lot of good reviews from our people. Let's answer the questions. Is there a wind of change? Yes, there is. Can it be exploited? That's another matter. Can the opposition win this election? It's beginning to look with plausibility that the opposition can take this mantle. The steam they have, the momentum they have, and the messaging they are dropping, it is possible. If they have to do double work with vote protection, there will be more need to collaborate with the opposition, like we saw with Honorable Hari Kalaba and Honorable Brian Munduvile get together. That will be very good. And just general advice. At this stage, I think Brian Munduvile and Makebi, sorry, I haven't spoken to them about it, but that's the purpose of this program. We discuss anything and everything. At this stage, they should break up and go into different directions. There's only 4 or 5 weeks remaining. Let us see Munduvile. I don't know what the program by ECZ is. See Munduvile in Northern Province, see Makebi in Southern Province. And the teams, the large teams following them, must go to branches to form polling station, polling center committees. Go back to the district. Go back to the provinces. There is no need in 20 cars following the president. No, there is no time for that. I think you've established to the Zambians that you have organizational capability and you have goodwill for the Zambian people. Now break up, go into smaller cells, go to reach out. And Mwata Pidisha, our president, Ngabaiza our vice president, for a major rally in Mansa or in Kasama or in Chinsali, then everyone can follow you of that mega rally. Again, you go back to work. Go to the work. Go and form polling center committees to guard the vote. Identify members of those polling center committees must be voters at those polling stations. Recruit and establish those. Begin to support them. Do some quick training. And also go big on telling our people that when they vote, they shouldn't leave the ballot. Is President Hakainde Hichilema going to lose elections? Come on. He's an incumbent. And he has said he's not willing to give up. Sishua today said the president may not accept the results. President Hakainde Hichilema is in it for a long haul. If you look at his disposition, even his needs for a third term, he thinks he has already crossed over. He's very determined to have this election in his favor. So do not underestimate his capacity as, even if there is wind of change, do not underestimate his determination to hold on to power. He might scale up his campaigns. There's an audio that I'll play where Siawan was advising. Remember at the beginning I started with Hamdudu, who's saying the president will win with a landslide. And Siawan is saying it's not possible. We are about to lose this election unless we do the following. I hope I'll play the Siawan audio. You listen for yourselves. So President Hakainde Hichilema is determined to have this election to himself. The opposition must not get lost in the excitement. The work that needs to be done is a lot. And like I say, one day is a long time in politics. I saw people kept on saying that on my paper, Kalaba, this is very good, welcome, but join Munduwile, join Munduwile. How about ne Kalaba now, ni Citizen First, alikuwa political party. Fred Membe alikuwa political party. In fact, the best time to come to a negotiating table is if you demonstrate that you are strong. So me, I want to see a mass rally by Kalaba, a mass rally by Fred Membe. So that even when we are urging them to talk, they'll be treated as peers, equals. You are not coming as a junior partner. At this stage, Brian Munduwile is a front runner. Anyone who's joining him will be a junior partner. We are halfway in the campaigns. If in the next 10 days, these leaders in the opposition do not show their muscle, they may join Harry Kalaba. They may join Honorable Brian Munduwile as junior partners to the movement that is going ahead. Mabantu Akwales, I've spoken so much. The lines are open. Zephania, let's hear you. Whoever wishes to call, let me switch on the phones and let's hear you. Nalanda Pafula. Thank you. God bless you. Let's hear from you. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from, and let's begin the program. You're our first caller.
Thank you so much. Good evening, Honorable Mwamba. This is Donosco. I'm calling from Italy.
Yes, Father Donosco. Good to hear from you.
Thank you so much. I have loved your analysis. I've loved your analysis, Madam Mwamba, because you remind me of taking me back by the time when there was a beautiful discussion and helping Makebi Zulu when there was an intra-party elections that saw him to be the president of the PF Pamosi Alliance party and PF Pamosi Alliance. I remember that one, and indeed, first of all, I listened to your analysis. And as usual, if you remember, Honorable Emmanuel Mwamba, we had some hot discussions sometimes, and I was underlining some of the words that you use. Say the opposition, if they cannot do, and I said, but why don't you also add yourself to say you are part of the opposition, and you say if we cannot do. I saw you also today mentioning or distancing yourself. Well, you're not distancing yourself, but you are saying if the opposition, they cannot do this, then this time I'm not going to be confused. I understand you very well because you are speaking from an analyst and a special, in your sphere as a journalist as well. So thank you so much for the preamble that you have put in before. And I just want to acknowledge on this platform I take advantage of your platform, a beautiful platform that we have followed for many, many, many months and many years up to today, to say thank you. God has listened, first of all, to the cries of the people. Honorable Mwamba, we have come a long way, and there's only one thing that we are emphasizing. The Zambian people are saying, can you come together, work together, and listen to the plight of the Zambian people? So, finally, there were words flying over regarding Munduvile, regarding Makebi Zulu. I remember very well, but we are not going back. We want now to look forward. And so, I am so humbled and blessed to see that Brian Munduvile and Makebi Zulu, they are in the same boat. I'm so humbled and really I'm so happy. Then let me just also extend my invitation by KBF. I thought my KBF was going to come on board. I know. I respect KBF just as you have said, Wamwambati, Nakalava, leave him alone. You are right, Wamwamba, but the invitation, I think, me as a layperson, I'm not going to behave like you. I will expose my idea and my desire. And my desire is this. What we are saying, following Munduvile and Makebi, are people without a regalia. And whoever blocked the regalia of the PF, Pamosi, and Tonsi Alliance party, whoever blocked the regalias, I think God really inspired that gentleman, because Munduvile and Makebi Zulu are speaking to the people, are speaking to the desires of the people. And how I love the response of the people, their happiness, the joy from the people. They are not insulting anyone. How I just love that one. They don't insult anyone. They don't insult Akainde Shilema. What they are saying is, you people, now you have come to liberate. You are listening to the cry, to the plight of the Zambian people. My goodness, no more dividing to Pamela. Yes, no more this. Yes, the Zambian people listen to Munduvile. Munduvile Wamdala. Kwena, twali laka sometime. No, mbana mwisho nukuishwa kutwala kile kwena wakalamba wesu. Mwisho nuko twala kile. Apa twatotela. Thank you so much. And thank you to you, Mwamba. Honorable Mwamba, if I was myself, the president, if I come become a president one day, then if I think special duties. Ukale afe concession. Call for our land for the fire. Mwamba, God has blessed you with knowledge. God has blessed you. The more you are going to be insulted, you are blessed. Get it from me, because that is what we call leadership. When they insult you, the people, it means that you have value. So, Makebi Zulu.
I was also surprised. That's why I said, can I have this? This man is even leading the choir here. And this is the second time I'm seeing him sing. I saw him in Dollar sing.
The charism, this gentleman, the way he can pull the crowd. Wow! Father, thank
you very much. Thank you, Father. Let's speak the cause. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution.
This is David Moyowambuya in Western Province, Mongu.
And what, David? Which one you call Mongu?
No, Mongu is okay.
Wonderful.
You've spoken really. You've said it all. So it's very difficult to even contribute because you've said it all. But what I want to focus on is two issues: the rally on the Copper Belt I always go back to history. We like reinventing the wheel. You see, Ambassador, I'll be very open with you. In 1968, 1969, 1970, the relationship between Kenneth Kaunda and Kapwepwe was really in the open that they're no longer together. They're no longer brothers. Kapwepwe went back to the Copper Belt and started talking to the miners to say, we promised that for us to become economically independent, we need the mines. The mines need to belong to Zambians. So that message went very well on the Copper Belt. That's why Kaunda, that 7 billion you always talk about Kaunda owed, that money, 7 billion, Kaunda did not nationalize without paying the British or the owners of the mines. Kaunda had to take out a checkbook of 7 billion to pay for those mines, to nationalize those mines. It wasn't for free. So it's the miners on the Copper Belt who wanted those mines. So even when we went into the privatization program, the people in the Copper Belt, it's just that when between 1973 to 1980 to the 90s, the copper price was hit hard. Why was it hit hard? Because of the economic sanctions which we imposed on the British and the Americans who were doing the business in South Africa. So we suffered economic sanctions worse than the Boers themselves. So the copper price is a story of another day. So because of the prices of copper, our economy shrinked. So we couldn't even recover from that 7 billion. There was no way we would pay it off because of the copper prices. And you know our copper is priced in London. So that's a story of another day. So anybody who stand up and say, we are now going to produce 10 million metric tons of copper, as long as the copper is not ours, the people in the Copper Belt will never be pleased with you. Let me give you an example. When Manawasa was in government, the copper we're producing was about 600,000 metric tons to 500,000 metric tons. But the price of copper was $3,200 per ton. But how did Manawasa manage to make the kwacha very strong? That's the question you should ask yourselves. Right now, we are producing about 800,000 metric tons or 840,000 metric tons. The price of copper is at $14,000 per ton. Why is the kwacha still struggling? Those are the questions which people ask themselves. So long the mineral resource is not in our name, there's nothing we can talk about. Even if you bring investors, you cut free bonds, as long as the mineral does not belong to the Zambian people, we do not benefit from that mineral. There's no point of even talking about it. So Mr. Brian Munduwile is very correct by saying we cannot be talking about an asset when the Copper Belt is a ghost city. That's one point. But the other point I want to contribute on is my field of expertise. In 1996, we protected the vote under patriotic rescue monitors. We're called Paremo. We're the biggest monitoring team. Manjiti, the guy from CCC, was monitoring the Copper Belt in Lusaka. He was given $2.5 million then by the Americans. Our budget was not that amount, but we managed to protect every polling station in the country, and we had footage. So when we came even to declare in the election, because in 1996, the monitors are the ones who declared the election free and fair. The Electoral Commission of Zambia didn't have that power to declare election free and fair. It was independent monitors who had to declare elections free and fair. We declared the 1996 general elections free and fair because we had footage. We had presence at every polling station. So the biggest issue which we have now is protecting the votes. Then secondly, you shouldn't forget, the presidential vote is not the members of, let's not misdirect ourselves. It doesn't mean when you don't have a member of parliament in a constituency, that means you've lost the presidential vote. No, the presidential vote is a head count. The presidential and the running mates, they've got their own vote. So even if I do not vote for a particular, even if I vote for a particular MP in an area, it doesn't mean I haven't voted for a president I want. The power, the governance of this country is not about MPs. The governance of this country, the power lies in the president's hands. You understand what I'm trying to say? The president is the one who pulls the shots. So what matters is what should happen now. We shouldn't be discouraged to say because in other areas we don't have members of parliament, we shouldn't concentrate in those constituencies. No, that's where the rigging takes place. The places where we don't have actually members of parliament, those are the places where we should really take our people to monitor those elections. You understand what I'm trying to say? To monitor the presidential vote itself. To protect the presidential vote, because in Zambia, the governance of this country depends on the presidency. We've given power, too much power to the presidency.
Thank you, David. Thank you so much.
So that's what we should concentrate on. In the opposition should concentrate on what you're talking about, protecting the votes.
Thank you.
That's the biggest job.
Thank you, David. Yeah. Thank you, Litume Shangwe. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from, and make your contribution.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
This is Mr. Movita from Kafiwe.
Yes, my brother from Kafiwe, make your contribution.
Ambassador, that point you have raised where we have to form what are known as the polling station committees is a very good point. I would advise you even throw it to the leaders so that we start making what are known as polling station committees now, because it's only you can maybe spearhead it by throwing it to the leaders, and the leaders come to us, and we form up those committees as soon as possible. We get to know each other, we even form up WhatsApp groups, and so on and so forth. That will be my point.
Thank you. I think that's a powerful point indeed. I've called for the leaders. It's not enough that you have people at a rally. You have to protect the vote. And one of the issues I've proposed is the UPND have polling station committees. Do we have, as the opposition, polling station committees to ensure that we protect the vote? Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Thank you, Ambassador Mwamba. Sinyangodian on the line.
Yes.
First and foremost, Ambassador Mwamba, we need to thank you. For me, I've just said you alone being where you are the biggest challenge to the UPND government, because within themselves, they can't handle you, Ambassador Mwamba. This program, Ambassador Mwamba, by UPND, Tabakwata program, I don't even think people can even listen to them. So, Ambassador Mwamba, lesoko amutweloko, pekenye, and now we are seeing the fruits. And these fruits, you have to now continue hammering and coming. Look at your analysis. Your analysis so much panga for 1 hour, 15 minutes. You've said the truth. You handled everything in a way that people should listen to. On the second point, Mwamba, I remember the words of the wise man, Michael Sata, someone who I always remember and I always appreciate. He said the most educated people in Zambia, they are the most dull people. Tabakwatamano. Ishi ya reserve Mwamba, na mwachilanda wino. It's like me coming to meet you, Mwamba. We are meeting for coffee. And then you, Mwamba, you're telling me, oh, my brother, this is what I have done. I've reserved this kind of money and everything. Then I come to visit you, Panganda, Mwamba. Kusanga pia Panganda, there's poverty everywhere. You can't even afford to take your children courses. But you were telling me to say, no, I've done well, I've reserved him here. Then what is that money for? And that's what Bamundu Lebale Landa. The third point, this is for Ali Kalaba. BF. Now, Fred Membe, Moneni, we love you and we love Zambia. It's not too late. If you've noticed, Mwamba, Makebi Zulu and Mundibele, they were just barely formed less than 2 months ago. But look at what they are doing. The biggest opposition party in Zambia is the Zambian people. It's not about a political party. Because when we work together, UPND has no chance to rig my election. I will leave for others to call, but God bless you, Bamwamba. Like your analysis here, let them be coming every day. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Arokola, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from. Yes, my dear brother. Tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution.
Good evening, Ambassador. I'm so glad that I'm able to get through to you today. Good evening, once more.
Good evening.
Good evening, thank you. I'll choose to go by anonymous for now, for my few reasons.
Okay, anonymous, go ahead.
Yes. I'm calling you in from Lusaka. I'm so excited, Ambassador, but I want to comment, just to underscore what the previous caller mentioned as regards voter protection. I think this is where we really need to concentrate on. It's quite surprising how we have various houses, for example, the embassy, American embassy. They need to help us out. I think in the previous elections, we've seen during this period that they would come out and speak to matters of vote protection. And that is the way that I mean, that's one way of protecting democracy. And I think it is America's agenda to ensure that democracy thrives. So we want to see these people come up now because time is gone. My concern is the Southern Province, just like the previous caller mentioned, Ambassador. Southern Province, we need not to be complacent. We need to protect the vote there because it is true that rigging takes place in those places which we tend to neglect. We know what happened in 2021, Ambassador. Some of us have an idea what was going on there. And there are some footages, to that effect, as where we saw people getting ballot boxes, under trees and trying to stamp ballot papers and the like. But we also saw that there were certain measures that the opposition did. They said the UPND took in Southern Province where they asked their voters to stay within polling stations after voting to ensure that they are able to chase away those that they thought were supporting the government that they were opposing, the PF then. So we really need the Ambassador to work on upping the means to protect this vote. Because the people have spoken. I'm Tonga myself. And to recommend Ambassador, it's not all of us, because we are worried and concerned about this country. We want a united country. We want a country that even some of us have got aspirations. We cannot have our dreams die down simply because of one man alone. No. We want a country that is more united, that is more representative. I want to be more free to come and stand later on in Chinsala and begin to campaign freely and put forth my aspirations to lead. So we are so grateful to what you have done on this platform for this country, the sacrifices you have made. I think I once met you when I was very young, some time back when you were ambassador in South Africa, and you treated us very well. We've known you to be a very good person, a selfless person who can sacrifice for country. And we'll be looking forward very soon to you joining us to celebrate together this victory that only God has made possible. So my last call, I know there are various callers that are yet to come on, is to ask through you, Ambassador, for the other leaders, Bahari Kalaba, Bamembe, Kelvin Waliafube, let's come together, you people. There will be no Zambia to talk about after this election if we don't come together. We are getting straight into a one-party state. And I don't think any of these leaders will be proud to look back and see that in the time they let this happen. They will not die, peaceful people. Let us come together and protect this vote. But let us come. There's nothing that is happening in this country. Medicines hospitals have been run down. There's nothing. There are no medicines. People have to get prescriptions all the time to go and buy in pharmacies. So much has just gone haywire. So we want to ask through you, these leaders, please let us put our interests, our personal interests aside for the sake of country. So that tomorrow we're able to stand proudly and say, well, stand tall and say, this is what we were able to do when we were called to duty. So this is our request.
Thank you, my dear brother.
And just lastly, Omamba, let us not fear Southern Province. Let us not fear Western Province. We are not. It's not all donors that like what is going on in this country. That will come in. It's just the very little. If you check what was happening a few days ago in Wengwa here, where this aspiring candidate, Honorable Moscow, his vehicle was badly damaged there by the same people, same family. He says, no, I'm supporting the president, but I'm standing as independent within the same UPND party. Look at what happened to Gary Kombo. We don't want such. It's embarrassing. That's not a kind of country ourselves who are Donga would want to associate a kind of history would want to associate ourselves with. So thank you so much once again. And to all those that are listening, let us stand out in numbers. Let us not be complacent. Let us vote like never before. We need to vote for Brian Mondobide. We need to make sure that we bring forth a man that will have country before anything, before tribe, before anything else. Thank you so much, Ambassador, and have a good night.
Thank you very much. I noticed that What David is back. What David, did you forget something?
Sorry, I'll be saying it very fast. One more point. This thing about reserves and what, it's just a debate which diverts people's attention. Even for a country which has $1 trillion worth type of minerals, with $1 trillion of minerals we have, how can we be debating a 16 billion credit, 12 billion credit in 2026? How can we be talking about debt restructure when you have $1 trillion sitting in your land? I mean, look, I'm just giving you an example. I know it, I think bigger than anybody maybe, but look at Elon Musk. For a promise of taking people to Mars, he's raised $1 trillion. What can make us fail to raise that kind of money? So talking about such little money, and it's diverting people's attention. We as a country now, we're supposed to be talking about $100 billion. $200 billion. Even America owns, but even America has credit. So there's no country which doesn't have credit. So diverting people's attention, talking about $6.5 billion, which is not there, which you can't see, which is not translating in people's lives. I can tell you something about here in Western Province. Schools. The school I went to in 1974, when I started my primary school at Mulamba Primary School, the ablution block which I left in 1977 is still the same ablution block which is still standing up to date. Kids don't have toilets at Mulamba Primary School. Where you have these big rallies, when people come to Western Province, Mongu, that's where all these presidents have rallies. They was at Mulamba Primary School. There's no toilet there. There's no facility. So these are things we should be talking about. When people talk about the PF and the credit and what, talk about the infrastructure which the military has. Talk about the infrastructure which the police officers have. Talk about the schools and hospitals. Talk about the roads which they're driving on. Lusaka wasn't like that. So those are the issues you should counter. Let us not be debating on who borrowed what, who did what. Yes, even these guys have borrowed a lot. What have they done in terms of infrastructure? Here in Western Province, we got the most expensive road. For the first time under Michael Sata, we have a road which goes to Kalabo. A person who lives in Mongo should appreciate that. But that road was not meant for Kalabo. That road was going to Angola. In every government office, provincial administration, the first thing you meet is a big map called 8,000, Link 8,000. That thing is collecting dust. Why did Michael Sata think of Link 8,000? We call ourselves, our current guy says Zambia is no longer a landlocked country. We are a land-linked. How do you call yourself land-linked when we don't even have roads? Mongo Shesheke, we live in Shesheke Road. There's no roads. There's no road completely. So how do you call yourself land-linked when we are not land-linked? So those are the issues to talk about. Address the issues which are on the ground, not as talk about reserve, how much is in the reserves when we don't have roads. That road is only 95 kilometers to get us to Angola. Fuel in Angola is cheap, just by the border. We are failing to get to the people of Mongo can't even go to Angola because of a 95 kilometer stretch which is remaining. The hardest part was cutting the plane. In the plane where there are 29 bridges. That's not a road. There are bridges all the way to Tapo. From Tapo to where there's highlands going to Skongo to the border, there's no road. There's no road. Ever since Michael Sata left, that road died in Tapo. So those are the issues which are affecting us. And this issue of saying strongholds, let's even avoid it. There's no stronghold of anybody in Western Province. Because in 2011, UPND was on the ballot box. PF was on the ballot box, but PF did better than UPND. So we cannot say the people of Western Province, Mongoloses, these people, they belong to this region, they belong to the Zambezi region. It's wrong. Because if that was the case in 2011, UPND could have won the elections. Because who made Sata win the elections in 2011 is the vote from Western Province. That's why he appreciated Western Province. So putting this label to say, no, this is someone's bedroom, that's it's not working. We want development, we want infrastructure, we want proper schools. There's no school with a toilet here in Western Province. Go to the schools, come. When you come to Umongu, come and see if there's a school with a running toilet. There's no school with a running toilet. Those are the issues we should talk about. Thank you.
Wonderful word, David. I'll call up. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution.
Hello, how are you, sir, Mr. Mwamba? How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, my dear brother. How are you?
I'm good. Okay, this is Teska calling from Lusaka, Matero.
My dear brother, make your contribution.
Okay, my point is on this notion which is on public domain, whereby the UPND bloggers are busy discrediting what Honorable Brani Mundubire said. On this one, in my view, what is correct is like this. In schools, we used to learn, or even school goers, they do learn about the use of wealth. Others, they do have wealth in order to show off. This is exactly like what President HH and the UPND are doing. They are able to show off, to say they have wealth, but in actual sense, people whom they are claiming to lead, they are suffering. This is a very good example. We can refer it to what the Bible is telling us, to say others, they do have wealth just to show off. They can't use it. Even if someone has nothing, they can't share. To them, it's good just to show off that they have wealth. So on this one, I think Mr. President Brani Mundubire should not panic on this one. We know perfectly well how UPND bloggers, they mislead people publicly. This issue, to be honest, the UPND has lost popularity, and that's why they are really trying by all means to mislead the people on ground, of which we are very much aware that no one is going to cheat on us ever again. We have learned a hard lesson within a period of 4 years, 10 months that we have been through with this UPND. No more Zambian can go, go and think to vote for this UPND. In fact, this issue of vote protection, I think Mr. Mwamba, you are a very right person who can try by all means to advise this Tonse Pamos Alliance group, so that maybe we know perfectly that sometimes it can be difficult for them to organize people to protect votes just because there are resources required. But some of us, if they can come into our constituencies, like in Matero, me myself, I stay in Matero, they can use our aspiring candidates, our MPs, aspiring MPs, to try by all means to talk to us, the members, to say, you guys see what we are fighting for now. It's for the betterment of this country, Zambia. So now don't expect more when you haven't yet found any results. This time around, if we can protect our votes, it simply means that now we are fighting for near future to be very well. Some of us were very much ready to go and protect the votes without even a single coin. We are very much ready, because if we can do that, we know very well that UPND is gone. Otherwise, failure to do that, if we can ever make such a mistake to allow UPND to be in power again, this country is gone, I'm telling you. These people, they are not good. These people, they don't mean well for this country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution.
Oh, God. Good evening.
Good evening.
Long time on this program.
Yes, Mtale from Kasama. Yeah, make your contribution.
Well, Ambassador, I want to join many other people who have contributed, who have said that the main key issue is to protect the vote. Indeed, I'm appealing to all the countrymen to protect their votes, not to leave the polling station. They can, if they vote in the morning, they can go out in the afternoon. Others remain, others they go, just like that. The way people protect their votes in the village. Because what will happen this time around, if you have noticed the way this man is trying to play the game, he wants to use a Masoja background. So that people, as we are not used to see the army in the street, they want to cause fear in us by flooding the streets or the compounds with the army. So we have to be very careful. Don't forget there are issues of those ZNS guys. Not long they trained the people who are released already. They have already been released. Okay, so we have to stand the ground because this is our independence. Trust me. So then, secondly, Ambassador, I would want to speak. Maybe I started the program we're halfway. I was not there when the program started. I want to speak to the issues of the clergy who are coming on board and trying to speak to the family, or rather, they're suggesting that the family of the late president, they should, or the government, they should be dialogue. Ambassador, we are refusing these evil men of God, so-called men of God. These are not genuine. These are people that can sell human beings. Because this is the same person they used to celebrate with a while back. Not long ago, they even rejected his memorial service to say that you cannot have memorial service when somebody has not been buried. And what has changed today? They were hoping so much. Even Omumba was even saying that the body is coming. So their hopes were the body is coming. So we are rejecting this call because these people are not worthy to speak issue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There are so many calls. Let's see if we can take the calls. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Okay, good evening, Ambassador. Yeah, happy to hear from you again. It has been a while. So I want to add a voice to the topic of discussions today. I think vote protection should be priority number one. And then also monitoring the printing of ballot papers in Dubai is another priority. So we need to have men of integrity, not to care to monitor the printing of ballot papers and then monitoring these people. They can do anything. If they plan to bribe judges in South Africa over a dead body, or what of an election like this? So I think we need men of very high integrity, men of high character, people that cannot be sold, that cannot sell this country for pieces of silver. We've seen the panicking of the UPND government. I think they are not sleeping. They are working around the clock. Of course, they've done a lot of wicked things. They have recruited police officers whose motives we don't know, the motive of employing those people. And there is so much that these guys have done just in order for them to win and to manipulate the election. But when you look at the crowds, wherever these people go, the ground is settled. We are in a safe zone.
Oh, we lost the caller. The line dropped. Okay, let's continue to take the calls. Continue to take the calls. Let's hear from you. Let's hear from you. Make your contributions quickly. I do not intend to sit here for a long time. We're analyzing the outcome of of the 2026 elections, and we are calling on you to what is your view? What is your contribution? There were a lot of callers, but I couldn't take all the calls at the same time. So let's take your calls now. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution.
Ambassador, I'm sorry I'm back again, but I'm very brief this time around. It's just an emphasis, Ambassador.
Yes.
On the what I called on earlier, the American Embassy, Ambassador, let it wake up. We need a voice insofar as this protecting the vote is concerned. Can we get people who can help us? The Israelis, whoever credible person we can lay our hands on, please can we get them on board? Because we can't risk missing out on this election. We will have no country to talk about. So please, we want you actively, proactively, in fact, to start now. Let us wake up these people. If it means some of us organizing a blown protest to go to that embassy in Ibex, the hill there, we'll go over. To go and call. We don't want that silence that we are seeing there. We love America. We love the way that they champion democracy around the world. And some of us are very proud of what the U.S. president is doing. We'll go over there in their embassy to go and wake up that ambassador. We want somebody to talk on our behalf and to ensure that this vote is protected. That we hadn't because of one man. Even if we come, some of us come from Southern Province, our children should not come and get labeled later on because we failed to do the right thing in our time. No. Tongas, Kachokwes, Bembas, we name it, we are one people. This is one country. One man cannot come and divide this nation. It will not happen. If it means sleeping and we are ready to sacrifice ourselves, even to a point of death for the sake of our children, we'll go over that embassy in Ibex. If they are listening, they should know. We don't want that silence that is going on there. Let them come out and speak and give us a roadmap on how they are going to assist us protect this vote in this critical general election. Thank you so much, Ambassador.
Thank you very much. Wonderful submission. Wonderful submission. Let's hear from you. Let's hear from you. Make your contribution. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution.
I wasn't listening.
Hello, caller. Hello, caller. Okay, I missed a call there. Maybe they wanted to speak privately. Hello, caller. Okay. Is it your network, Mwantu Wakwalesa? Let's pick your calls quickly. Yes, caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution.
Thank you, Mr. Mamba. I think he just keep me anonymous, man.
Anonymous, that's fine. Make your contribution.
Sure, thank you. Mamba, our UPND first in Zambia, lako pangono nikambeko vamene vina chitika ku South Africa, upo pamene wanaluza milandu. Wa UPND walibe matu. Pamene walungu wenza uvutika muno mu Zambia. Wa UPND wanatenga walungu wachita strip off yonse ma rights yao. Even when he was leaving Zambia, he just left as a common man. Now upon his death, UPND wakambatia board wafuna ku Zambia. Manje chinawa ma UPND wanaluza. And UPND sembe wanachita appeal. Manje chamene wayo my election. Kaya waziwa tukachita appeal Jamland Constitutional Court. UPND wali Benson. Sembe wanachita appeal Jamland. Manje wamwamba chamene wanachita appeal UPND. Wanaziwa tukachita appeal Jamland. Wazaruza my election ya mbili maningi. So wanakambatia isista cha appeal. UPND they could have appealed the matter. Bayo pa my election. Manje mverani. My election wa UPND wazaruza. chamene vazaruzira maelection vaipendi vamene vachita wenzo kamba TI economy dzaipanga bwino vazachita bwanji palibe vamene vichitika vose vamene vachita vaipendi palibe vamene vasevenza muzambia manje mverani vaipendi vamene vachita vamwamba vaipendi vasovana maelection yonse yakumbuyo vamwamba uko imwe munapedzeka kumaelection yambiri muzambia muno maelection yambiri amene yachitika vamwamba kulibe maelection ya timetable kuvyalo konse kwamene timaona so kwamene vantu vapanga maelection kulibe maelection ya timetable kuti yo iwe mailo zankhala ukasama iwe mailo zankhala uko kulibe maelection yaso va UPND they have been using mingarato zakwati manje valeta ma timetable this time around varakambati va blood mungiviri vavapasa pa eastern pa central chamene vafuna ni confusion vafuna ati va blood munduwile vakafuna kwenda ku press va UPND vazambo kamba tishaye kuno kuzabwera va president so simungankhalire kona miti kai vamakamba ati president ngali mulija area simungaendere muchamo campaign kai chimuli va president so chamene vafuna ni confusion so that one is just a planned confusion yamene vafuna manje as things stand ndiye pezo kamba kuna vasuwa sichuwa lero vakamba kuti va HH pamene vanabwera pachi pamene tiyandenda kuma election siva makambapo ati vakaluza ma-election vazachita accept defeat valichabezi manje because ma-election vazaluza manje why siva mauza vantu kuti ine ndikakaluzako ma-election I'm going to accept defeat chamene chifunika manje mwamba mwezi mwakambira kuti ma-election yafunika kuchita guard tizachita bwanji guard ma-election mwezi mwakamba kuti ma international community vangu vabwera ma observers siva mafika pacha but chamene chifunika ndise vantu vamene tizachita guard aya ma-election ya ino ye manje mwatizachitira guard ma-election ya this year vamwamba it's very simple tifunika kuziva ma-areas yamene yazankhala problematic otherwise vamwamba kuchita league ma-election is not easy vantu vazankhala on high alert especially mu Lusaka Central Province Eastern people be very alert kwamene chabetrina problem ni kuma areas yena ene akamba ku southern and other places but all those places vamwamba tifunika tiikeko vantu vamene vaza making sure kuti aya ma-election yazankhala free and fair as things stand va UPND seems valuza ma-election but mwamene vaoneka kuti they don't want to accept defeat because my timetable ya ma-election it's a sign that muntu uzaluza because va HH he was in opposition for almost 20 years kapena ni 30 years kapena ni 10 years nobody had drafted a timetable for him to campaign he was campaigning as a free man from one corner to another of this country but today from nowhere him can come up with such kind of program in a democratic nation where people they can have a timetable for the first time in the history of Zambia. Even my members of UPND vamene vanayimirira confusion inambira mu party they adopted the long people who people didn't want them.
Thank you, my brother. Let me take another call. There are so many calls that have now come in after my call. Let me just take this call so that we allow as many people before we close as possible.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mark.
Thank you. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, Ambassador Mwaba.
Mkwaimayo Mwabombeni.
Mkwaimayo Ambassador once.
Ndita.
Mkwaimayo. Wena Zambia once konsoko mulimu Abombeni mulishani kwai.
Yo bale mfu.
Tuwatepea pamutendere sale mpera nechikosa neshimukubomba mulimu oyo ushayikulira. Awe tuwezotera baliste. Fe anda abantu wasipamula basa papo mwiswirire. Fyonswe fishing kafisu mafya chikosereshi. Abalera ndapakutira. Tukachingira shani amavotes yesu. Numba pepe fya randa abantu mesu kuma kinga shuwa kwa abantu mesu tukabako shani kulia bantu n'abapangi funde lo past mu parliament efyo basaina okutira kukuvota imyaka n'emyaka tuleekalako ekotuli tatwavota tulepemberera nomberi takwakabe umwekala chalo uvotera akasuba okwikalako I'm even imagining like wakala pisha mwaba story ambike eminute money ngana vote 6 o'clock ku polling station na isalika nomba twamukupenda kumulungushi nishule pembelera kuno kabiye okumishimishi konsekonse kwa musango oyo wena ngefe chikabesyo nishile chwina umfolambi balandele akutila ilombe niko ba international community but somebody said tawapo palia nalimona puine filafi uletamba kunganda waya pa TV mushente panopenze palwala tulande ba Amnesty International ukubalomba kweta musango oyo kwa tutrefu okutwikalira ku namba mumpanga munyamu mishi nga kumishi kumya sukuma ikerenge konse kuno kwa kaputa mishi ya mukati buno ni bana bakatwikalira ko kulyanga bayi bati mwavota fumeni pokabiye anti twalitamba kwicha muselu abantu bali pendo tukato tuma votes mwisamba ya chimuti ile takulaba n'amafunde ayabipo musango oyo ba UPND could afford to do that ingeri bapangire amafunde ya kwisekesha kulusa kwinga bati tulusi oko mweresa wimwe bantu bakwalese fi bantu balelombo kwe bati ichi mwa chisokolo lokutira kuli ba polling station committee awe ababa chilalanda kumatelo batata kuti mwaba kwanisha kwangu kubapalamika pebumba bamuna kwefika abo kupanga ma groups yako bati uko ka town ka uko ku polling station kwa uko noko nangu kulebe chintinya chakutira babyo pia ndi kubaise chibumba baisa kusalanga nyaba abantu awe papo nishesa akatwibini nako bati chikulu kufunya kuwako ifi bombero ifi ipere bamwambange ifi mwabe chibombero mwali yoko kwine mwaya ifi nfrench tika tulelanda bantu apa tushilanda apa bali chefundira kulanda ife fyonse twalanda apa ifi ayofiri chefi nfimo kusela fyonse kulika pfine ifi mpo yabalungu yasendo eshitayonse ngata kwali kulalanda papa wingi bantu abembe balanda tuleta pa wingi tonaula so bano yalefula sana uyalanda echi nawe nyaba kakire ifintu fyose bakateka nebumba lyabo bale umfwako ngapomla ndiwafika uyaloya wabamayo banalungu ulya tembeka inyo yashirira ndokutira no manawo alechitasu ndi fipa na chiberenga inira shenda alechitasu bayabonse abaliko mukweba echitumbi ky'abalungu kula ku mountain what to mountain funeral parlor ukutwala ko batwe but nabalumbula mu national ya muntu ukutira uyu nabo ali nabo nomba uyu mulandi wala talala kwena uteko bwala ishiwe chishinka nangu bakafuma mona abalusa but we should look at the truth that bali kwa tumpampa minogu wako bati mulenya po abafisha apa kwa bati abali kwa bayimirire sana ni bakabesha go through our video yonse watch him ku South Africa ni ku church kuja ilo reporter wa Sabika alevepusha bana pamenzo bali aba kwata mtsunga ati was wearing a good countenance like tekiriro kwete right now because I'm the lawyer for the state I said let me go and sue put an injunction okay bali chitafija fyapifya kuli fyonse fitulelanda kutira nomba chala bashali baba yona abapembere ya my elections uko chikaba ife tulewina kuli kutinda tinga twalusa kuli okuimya okuboko kuli eso kutira mwelesana tufire okuza but one party state tetwakayika lepo mutuberere fyo rusefwe ba Zambia and ngombu bonsi balelomba Bama Kepi Zulu, we thank God for me, Bama Kepi Zulu, and we thank God for the so quick attempt to Mabena Zambia. Possibly campaign ya showcase, ya kupevati, Pangan timetable. But President himself is exempted from the timetable, which means he can randomly go to campaign. Nashka Kalema Kebi Nabambi, Babati Yoko Panga meeting, Takuli Pantua President Barafika, everybody Pangile. They have made it so that nangu mwafika pati pia kutimwambe kampeni yenu kumi bwesurusha mbika kumu reverse efyo bale ebomba ebuluse bwine bakwete and as such tuinenu kwa ukuya kuli uyo muli mwagatire fwaeni ochiteni organize abakuchita abakulinda votes yalya epa maneka fyo kutia pashala kwenkama ikuwapa bantu nangu kuya mkufwa yaba kuchita field muli yawe yambia ama polling stations ama constituencies uko batonzi bashikwanishe inenga na resha fyo ukukuma constituencies yambia yanga twaikatisha ero nabo beno kubalelusa nishita baka wine not win in Jesus name ndolomba kufya bakukoseresha kufya abakulonda ayama votes nga every other citizen telesuminishwa abo benga kita organize abo letira ba polling station committee abo ekipani kya UPND kyakwata because of the granted expertise bakwata in being in opposition bali ishibuku ishimpira sana pantirosi baba pakushimpirwa ba mu opposition bali chibecha opposition umwana wabo youth provincial chairman Matomona alanda tutekere fe myaka 5 umuteko twali mu myaka 20 tetu myaka 5 tufume he thinks ni warranty bantu mwalirwa sana so mufire okwikaliriza mufire okustapona ama promises mwapangire so abena Zambia abene n'abashibuka kalenga nabo muna response iri ku Eastern Zambia na papitire pakabwe na kukopa belt kuba ba makebi na ba makebi na ba mundubire response y'abantu iri positive sana fye bali abantu te bambi bantu bayitimu kuvota they are the part of the 2.8 million yakainde achieved last year. No, maisa kumbi. So ngana besa na ifundisa tupele wisdom tupokelele kile mkulinda yama votes. Mweshna yafu Yesu Kristo. Amen.
Natasha Mayo. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution.
Hello, Mr. Ambassador. Mwabombe Neva Nameless.
Nameless, make your contribution.
Thank you so much, Bamwamba. Okay, Bamwamba, I have actually paid quite... I've been so attentive, listening to everybody. I want just to start with few points. Nati, a sitting president is very strong, in everything, because he has all the machinery, and it's not an easy task. Ukufunyapo sitting president. Lelo tufuile kwaishiba emo tuleendela echikankala fe. The ambassador, I'm just drawing you back to the few points you have made in your earlier analysis. You know, you have touched on every single thing that may matter. In the coming elections. Mr. Ambassador, people, do look at situation differently. Ichi lipofiapa, ichi kalanda sana. Ukufunyako fenefia kulanda nefia kulondola, because we know what has been going on. The ambassador is to put more emphasis on vote protection. People have started responding, and this is the same response that will be shown in the ballot. The question how will their votes be protected? A sitting president is so powerful. So powerful that no matter how much you jump high, I don't know about responding. Vote protection. Regardless of anything, Bamwamba, if you are going to we are wasting our breath. Mobilize. Monse mudia umukalabu mwavota mube abantu abakusa protect mumishiba mwamba ekintu kibacho njiminepo ile mumishimu abantu barakubachite educate bonse bali abali mumishi uko bachita educate ukulingana fye bagafire mwachiranda kataba mwamba papa njukwe bati bachite separate bantu umuyingi tabanashikamu bakwata fyama campaign y'umunono so nomba bakane takati bantu bayo depending on how they will be received apopene kale ba problem umlandu wakwe bati ushakuti bakasuminisha okuyakubana kunoku ekintu kimofye echo ningalanda bamwamba apata painefa kweba tule saba ila tu iranda chacha tule pita mfintu tule ipose le inshtatu kwete ishtaba mwamba. We are almost halfway. June. Bamwamba. It's so dangerous. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution.
Good evening, Mwamba Mwabombeni.
This is Mama T. Mama T, make your contribution.
Mkwaina Totera. Mwamba, like everyone is saying, we need to protect our votes. Ukoko tufumine kutali, apopo tuafika nombaye mpepi. We can't waste any chance. Because inatumone mingala tewe valete ababa nesu. Natumona like the other brother said, kwebati, nikuisoko tuwa mweneko, ama campaigns aya kumipela, ama timetable. It is happening for the first time. And we are enjoying because natwishivo kwebati 13th August ilifepa kona hapo. That's why whatever they throw on us, we are just saying there's nothing we can do for now. But by 13th August, ero tukweta amakai fwe bantu. Tukabalange ba UPN tukwebati amakai aba kubantu. Nomba, twefo kwebati tukashite protect ama votes yesu. So to that it's very difficult to unseat the sitting president. It's not difficult. Ero kwati kuli ababa UPN, it's not difficult. Bamwamba ba UPN n'aba basula abantu. N'abaana fya abantu. Yesterday I witnessed myself where imyotoka shaba UPN shale pitana nefirimba. Not even abana okwimi amaboko awe okupera simbo yabo ili awe. No kwishibana abeshi baba UPN kwebati abantu n'aba basula. Abantu tabaleba fwaya. I've been saying this on the other channels to say, you know, as we were even surprised to say, because the people never showed this kind of signal to him to say, we don't want you, Mr. President. They kept it in their hearts. But with him, padi no pobe ngarangi no kwebate yo abantu n'abamvotera nangushani ifefya kwebati bebe ama votes basteshani nisho bayichusha fe pantu abantu n'abalanga apa butatu kwebati tabale bafwaya bamwamba ndanda kone yiye nankane yiye baliranda ya mukusta witness printing of ballot papers uko kutubai ama political parties bafire bayilipirira. It is for the first time again. Ngempia ishosho badipira ama candidates. Shirikwista ngecho chechala lengo kwebati bakano ukushikana nkano kulipirira abantu abamma political parties ukuya mona isile sitika kulya bakushita print ama ballot papers nichishi apo pene apona pene apo bamwamba stay advise abantu bamone kwebati ba making sure witness because we don't know what they are planning. And then I remember about opposition na balipira ba youth kwebati basteshani bambo kubuwinga ba president mu Rallies yabo yose muno mu Lusaka ubufi bakwata ba UPND na tulanda ifuatifyo fyabufi. No one can even prove ba president ba akainde chilema. Bantu bare aba UPND ukwabo kuma konka abantu. Ngobo barashita bubanshi. Nangu chakwe bati abantu barifo kuba buwinga. Bafune baumfo kwati nishi bare tushitira bu. Mulandu wakwe bati ama promises yabo yonse. Papa nifyo bashitire ko nangu chimo. Ukulepa fyo bufi. Apa nomba nabaleta propaganda kwati wa Honorable Brian Ndubire baliranda timpiyesha abamuri zefta shikwete nchito tefyo barandire yo baliranda okwebati shompi aere nashikwate nchito bati mwishe cho mwinga sungire mpia abantu barechuza apo pali amano sana era nangu bare koselele yo ileri ashibamwamba tabakwete fyensoni ngabachite kafe
Bantu abantu balera ndate bamuntu bide balira ndafye bwino. Ifyo vya kunanda ati yo impi ya draft shanu kwa bene yo ifyo balera ndati n'abashita achieve. Abantu tabale fimona. Abantu n'abachula mu Zambia n'otukuchira okwakwangala iyo. N'abachula mu Zambia to balera ngiro ko bati. Ifola akainde katuleba faya to anakana bena n'obufwa to anakana boyena. So mpose kwa amanene legislation kuli voter protection isteni protect amuna votes ifo for abantu to be very ground sebwino twamu kuvota so ayama vote mpose kwa amanene bantu bakwanisa tatufaya another 5 years of suffering with this man wetwakana. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We have another caller here. Have a caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
My name is calling from Evu constituency in particular.
Yes, my brother.
I want just to tell the Zambian people that remember they say at each kwamka bachimwana kumpalanye. Why am I saying so is that the yardstick of any political party is known by the way they are organizing their rallies. When you look at national reconciliation for reconciliation party for unity and prosperity, their first rally in Kitwe, it showed it was a mega rally. Now, when they came into Kabwe, that was the almost rally. Now, the Eastern Province rallies had shown that this is the landmark. This has never happened, Bamamba, in the history of this country, where people are turning in huge numbers. That is the sign that Zambians have been gagged. You know that you and I, we have been talking about why Zambians are gagged. Meanwhile, the Constitution of Zambia, Article 21 and other articles, they are not being implemented because they have brought this cyber. The cyber now, people, they are trying to express themselves through the songs, and they are going to express themselves through voting come 13th August 2026 because people have resolved. The UPND thought that there was no opposition. We have told people that opposition are the people themselves. And UPND, they were refuting to say there is no opposition in Zambia. And now, what they are saying these are just rallies. But meanwhile, themselves, they are organizing rallies through parliamentary candidates. They are fetching people. Now, when you look at the BM8 and the Makebi, they are just organic. And this is the sign that Zambia are now going to change. Indeed, what we are supposed to do, this vote protection is not only for our party, but all of us as Zambians who wants change. On that day, we should not sleep. We should make sure that we after voting, we must go back and protect that vote. Because if we leave it to the political party, they will be able to do Mingalato. But when we are in numbers, no one is going to do it. And that's how we did it in Chawama. Chawama, we made sure that we were there until early in the morning. So this is my appeal that all of us, the way we are turning out in numbers in these rallies, that's the way we should turn out on that particular day, because politics is won on that day, the 13th August, that we protect it. All of us, we must protect in all the 10 provinces of Zambia. And this is what I wanted to contribute. The signal is that UPND is gone. As I conclude,
you are campaigning. You are campaigning in Mandevu. Have you thought of setting up the polling station committees.
Yes, as Mandevu and the campaign manager for Honorable Chinkapata, and we are starting planning about setting in all the five wards. We are going to have campaign centers where we'll be able to put our foot soldiers, and we train voter protection in Mandevu. Be able to share with you our is.
Wonderful. Thank.
Yes, Mandevu is ready for change, and Honorable Chinkapata is going to win. And I want to take advantage that those who are saying that she's not wanted now, they have seen how we have done in 4 wards. 4 wards, everyone has said yes to Honorable Chinkapata.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution.
Hello, Ambassador. I'm Mama K calling on being Lusaka.
Mama K, make your contribution. Yole sare tusunga mlishana imwe.
Amen. Twatotela sana yechikankala. Ambassador kukamba kukwanga nikamba kokuti. Mauti vantu vambiri vadandaula kuti mavhoti ayafunika zona protection. Vaambassador chamene pempako kulimwa muchitarisira mvintu vambiri. Mweleza kambira wena ngwati kuenda kugundani kuja kwa IBEX kuja kwa mweleza kambati kuchani na iwa la kuti wenzi wakamba wena ngwaja wenzi wakamba mushi. And then naise teka tawini wake zona pakuli beku yopa kufuna kuyimirira nganganga and pavaso mungu amapasa mphamvu samasirira because the situation yametapitamo from 2021 kufika maambassador yayi chichintu chabwino ava vanapo achapezona kupastura noti kumanga because sometimes ambassador mandisitinga pisa sometimes maybe waenda chape town uzakumana chape na muntu akamba chape chitundu chamene chikumbera che kumtima kuipa but shuzanda chape muntu wakaere muntu wamene aipisa vantu onse mumozi venangwa sivali monga veve manje kunghala kuti eve ndiye muntu osogolera chalo akazipatula chalo so chalo chatu chaonongeka vaambassador vintu sivili bwino tivutika koma mulungu uyu that's what tinakamba tikatuma kumaredio tinzokamba kuti kupapata na upamini apa tinamba kutala kutuma kuti tipapata na opposition avachitemunga vagwirizana vakali pamozi ero tinzokamba maningi vamnduvire na vamakebe akagwirizana chape ichi vintu vankhala bwino ena avenango naive vabwerapo naive tikali kuvapemba na manje sikuti tinaleka tinavata naive namanje tikali kukambapo vangajoin time iriko vaambassador ndipo tinakondwera maningi and window of change ive iripo usakaikila noti naboza chifukwa kwamene kwaenda chabewe ni mnduviri that's why wenzi wa bloka after my nominations vanakamba kuti yayi makampeni manje yazayamba vayamba makampeni venye mnduviri vaona ati waenda uku kwachitika so ati yaiti kumane pa 22 kunkhale meeting kuti tipange kalenda ya bwanje because ngati mwakamba kuti va president wapezeka kwaso beve avasivangaendekwa so vanapanga kalenda yo vanachita bwino vapitiriza vantu vachita continue kuchita chani kuchita campaign. Zambia it's one Zambia one nation not kuti kapena ni muntu mmozi olutenge chalo munga kapena ni mwamenye ungali ya mnyumba mwako na banja yako ndio mwana usititi ya bantu wa Zambia bantu wose mchalo no ivo vaambassador ndipo davika ni latu mzina la Yesu ero sivizachitikapo futi magebi na mamgwiri vangena State House ero sivizachitikapo futi tingali vantu vokondana tingali vantu vamozi tikakumana ta vantu ulo mtundu wina ngati tili vamozi tizikondwererana not kuti waona chape mundu achita bwanji wambira kuipa chifukwa cha muntu umozi iya ivaambassador apa bebe apa tikavota chape please vasibambo tisakakagare kuti bwanji tientika making sure mavoti azona tikachingirize vakakangona pochitira because mingalato zambiri zamene vachita but ngati mwa vantu mupemberana kupembera Mulungu amapewesa vaisa vambiri kuti vaese kublock apa na apa koma vakanga window of change iliko and abantu zona bazapita not ati tizacho sapo bwanje muntu amene ali achokapo nichoka achoka kudala nichoka uyu mundu vile na makepi vingire andi vangena so mwe vantu tigulizane chape ava vantu kudala mizunamizira pf ati muli makata no abantu ndeveze makata apa manje chaoka nooneka nangu gasi nyiveve vantu avezo chita vonse ivi lero nangu vamene vezi vachita kunani kukateto kusivina wana winangu vamuchita kumutu kunapanga platform vabwera na kamoto kakao kuyamboona vantu futi kunja kukatete vantu ava vana mtima zoipa andi vana mtima zoipa vambiri vichitika kukankhala kundani kusokukopa belt uku vanangenesa mundu wakaele vameya vacha but instead vangenese vantu vavo kulipe no vangenesa vantu vavo kungenesa vantu niwamu opposition chape ndiye valakwa vantu vavo kulipe kulakwa nikungala kwa bwanju vintu ngati valakwa loni wao vafunika wamikinyeshiwa pa visachita so vakari nkombo ivo vinaenda kuti vinafika kuti vanakambati valalonga viri kuti manja viri kuti vinapera vaambasada nkhani nazizira sochani ndiye ngankale mingalidwe vamuntu uvire na vamakepi kwamene muliri ngati mumvera ivi veve visakachitike ngati mwa munyumba wanu walapo ikani pamozi vintu vingale bwino mwenda pasogolo noti kuti yayi pakuti mukainisevenza naye pamozi alakwa lekani muchingirize no veve ivi visakachitike andi mukasevenza so ndipo muzakondolesa Zambia yonse muzakondolesa vantu bonse not kuti isekaini watu mwaona kuti achita choipa then mumubakinga mupunziseni ichi chamene wachita cheve nikipa sitistakondwera mupunziseni mwamifuni konkalira vaambasada tili oni ambuye mulungu vatisogolere kuti tikavote bwinobwino mavoti aya tikachite bwanji tikachingirize making sure vakakangiwa napochitira nangu ni vamene vazaenda kutubayu kupo printing making sure paper ya printing yayi valonga apa palipe vomaking last time vantu tenzombera vakamba kuti yayi mavoti yenangu anabwera yomaking ive nangu lizoshusha kuva benzeko vinachitika vazoona tenzoona nuna yenangu mavoti zoona yanabwera yomakinga vapenda vintu njiva makinga apa peve apa mulungu amenya nkhondo kupembera kwamene tipembera kuti ambuye mulungu vatipase vasogolera amene vazatisunga chalo chato mapembero siyaenda pachape mulungu atimenyera nkhondo vazoona.
Thank you, my dear sister. Thank you so much.
Conclusion isekufuna kwatu tikakamba kuti yayi tivichite manje ngati mulungu sana kambe but mulungu apapeve amenya nkhondo vintu vonse visankhala bwino vaambasada mulungu azikusogolerani mwatisekula meso taziva vintu vambiri pachitwami amene musevenza mpitirize ambuye azikuchingirizani zikomo.
Thank you very much. Okay, so let me take the last cause. Let's take the last cause. We hear from you. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contributions.
I'll remain anonymous, but I've just got a word of encouragement for this program, and it comes from Isaiah 41 and verse 10 and 11. Fear not, there is nothing to fear, for I am with you. Do not look around you in terror and be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and harden you to difficulties. Yes, I will help you. Yes, I will hold you up and return you with my victorious right hand of righteousness and justice. Behold, all they who are enraged and inflamed against you shall be put to shame and confounded. They who strive against you shall be as nothing and shall perish. Amen and amen.
Amen. Powerful. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Good evening, Mamamba. Please from Zambia.
Make your contribution.
Yes, Mr. Mwamba, I support the need to form a water protection trust fund via mobile, which people can be contributing every day and monitored how much so far has been donated. So that while that is being done, then all the opposition should now recruit a minimum of 50 youths to man each polling station at least 50 meters away from the polling station for voter protection. So on that day, these can do the voter protection, and then maybe pay them each one maybe 200 kwacha just to motivate them. Then by one cocoa on that day to motivate them as well. Together they can be and the people after voting can also be there 50 meters away to see whoever is coming in with marked ballot papers. The same fund, if there's some change which will remain, can be used to pay the agents or monitors, the police station. So that you have the opposition can have their own agents, the police station who can really man, and then also be paid at least something for that. I'm sure Zambians can donate over 100 million for the voter protection from now up to August. That's my contribution. Thanks so much, Mr. Hamid.
Thank you. Some are already coming with solutions that we should set up polling station committees that should monitor this, and we should also have youths that should help just outside the polling station. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from. Oh, this one is not connecting. Hello, caller. Hello, caller. Oh, I asked the caller to call back. Call back quickly before we close. Please call. I noticed your phone was just hanging. Let me take the last two calls and then we call it a day. Let me take the lucky two calls that will be going on. Today we've been having a wonderful discussion. Yes, there was some violence that took place in, is it Katete? Yeah. Thank you for the pictures. We will publish them. And someone again has sent that a candidate from Monza Central was also attacked. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Yes, there was some violence that took
Hello,
place
caller.
in. Hello.
Yes, caller. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contributions.
I'll remain as anonymous.
Yes, anonymous.
There's been very fruitful discussions regarding the protection of the vote.
Mm-hmm.
Very brilliant ideas, but most importantly, the last caller was talking about providing food for the polling agents and the rest of the people. This should be discussed in full detail. I'm sure there's been a lot of people that have monitored elections before. So this committee that we're talking about should be put in place as soon as possible. There are people that know exactly what can be done, and we and I think that people should get together and seriously begin to form this so that it's done countrywide. It's very clear. There's a wind blowing over Zambia, and we should put in place, all those ideas, as it were. And it's very important to note as well that this regulation of having to have people buy their own tickets is probably being done for the first time. There's a good reason why they want people to pay for themselves. I think the opposition can raise, funds for people to travel and choose people that are going to be alert, because that's where all the problems begin, at the printing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Indeed, you are right. Indeed, you are right. There are many people that have run these vote protection mechanism, PVTs, and all. The urgent thing is for people to form the polling station committees, and then, so that you are assured that over 13,500 polling stations will be protected. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contributions.
Hello?
Hello. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution.
Yeah. I am Anonymous calling from Lusaka.
Anonymous from Lusaka, make your contribution.
Yes, my contribution it is quite simple. Okay. I am requesting Mukaba to phone by KBF. That Alena Zambia Bale Milomba, he is very good. He's a very good strategist. How to protect our votes. He has got to help us if you want us to win as opposition. That is my request to you, please.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. There's another caller I've lost here. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution.
Yes, it's natural that the lady that has come off the phone worried about the citizen monitoring people. Don't be very worried. We're actually talking about this. I'm calling myself anonymous because I told you that I'm going through quite a few problems, like very personal issues, and they're nearly finished. But the polling stations, we're going to have them covered. The food that they are looking at, we are going to have them covered. I think we are preparing a few little trucks to take food around, to make sure everyone is fed, to make sure everyone is happy. And this we are doing. So this is not a game that we're going to lose. And so it's a concern. It is nice that people call, they are concerned about it, they are worried. They are very worried. And just tell them that there are people out there. And we are all in it. You hear that, my brother?
Wonderful, my brother. Thank you very much for that submission. That's good assurance. Thank you very much. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution.
Hello, Mr. Mwamba. Once again, good evening. I've just called, listened, but I just want to clarify on one point concerning the issue of vote protection. This is Teska calling from Matero, Lusaka.
Yes.
On the issue of protection of votes, I think these UPND bloggers, they've realized to say they've lost the popularity. So now what they have been saying this time around is that they are saying that opposition are concentrating doing their campaign in urban areas, forgetting that bigger numbers or larger population of voters is coming from rural areas. So now, here is what I'm trying to advise, to say those people who will be chosen to go in rural areas to do vote protection, I'm telling you, they have a strategy whereby they want to use rural area votes to be stolen, because they realize that urban areas, they won't get anything. So now, the team that will be sent to protect votes in rural areas, at least include them with the people from urban areas, because if you can imagine, if you can compare people from rural areas and the people from urban areas, people from rural areas, it's very easy for them to be scared if UPND thugs comes with their strategy to displace people or to threaten them. So at least those people who will be protecting votes in rural areas, they need to be mixed with the people from urban areas. On that note, I'm telling you, we are going to manage protecting the votes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let me declare that was our last caller, and it's very important that we have some of these broadcasts to set the tone and just to focus the issues that we should be focused on. Today we're analyzing the state of our country, state of both the ruling party and the opposition, and the candidature of President Hakainde Hichilema and the opposition. Can the opposition unseat President Hakainde Hichilema? We gave various scenarios, and I hope that you've learned from this conclusion. We'll pick up this broadcast because now we need to begin to narrow down on what needs to be done for either parties to win this election. The opposition have momentum, is in their wings. How do they exploit it? It's not enough that people are disgruntled. How do you make them rise that day and vote for you? It's not enough that people are unhappy with the cost of living and the cost of living crisis. It's not enough. How do you persuade them to stand and go and vote? So we'll be having this regular program. I'll leave you with an audio from CR1. Remember, we started with Hive Hamdudu, who was very insistent that President Hakainde Hichilema would win with a landslide. But in the same camp, CR1 has expressed concern that the UPND is underestimating itself, and they may likely lose election unless they do what he is proposing. So listen to what CR1 is saying.
Good evening, group. God bless us all. His Excellency, our President, good evening to you, sir. What I read today confirm the messages that I've received from several councillors from the UPND concerning the allowances. Though many of them have not received the money for the election, many of them have not received. And I'm here hearing about 3,000, giving our councillors 3,000. I thought we would learn something from Chawama. I thought we would learn a bitter lesson from Chawama. Councillors are those that are talking to the people. The people are closer to the councillors than the MPs. Councillors are the grassroots. Are we giving them 3,000 for how many pieces of chicken? How much is one chicken in the market today? I thought we should be talking about giving them 100 to 200,000 kwacha per week. Please, we are a government in power. A government in power does not win an election because they have delivered. I've said this several times. It's just that these people that call themselves they are political group for us, they don't know anything because they can advise the president properly. Our president is an economist. He's a businessman. He doesn't do politics. That is why they are politicians. We must understand that a party in power does not retain power because they have delivered. If you want turn Zambia to Dubai, people do not see it. You don't keep power by delivery. The economy is doing very well. The president has done extremely well. Look at Kwacha today. But when you talk about this thing, people are telling you with some paper we don't see it. This is the time for people to see it. People are supposed to be eating. In all the districts, in all the offices of UPND, this is where people are supposed to be going to pack chitenge, pack clothes, pack food. Food supposed to be flying around the country, starting from last month, not even this month. Those people that are doing politics for us should have even scheduled a meeting with some of these millers, meal, all this stable food that the poor people go to buy. Put in a subsidy, reduce it to drastically, like reduce it to nothing. Even petrol. All these things should have gone down right now. People will celebrate. Hey, wow, it's true. We are seeing it. It's not on paper. People need to feel it. Even if it's artificial, people need to feel it. When they feel it, they will go and vote for you. We, the people that have understanding of global world, we understand what HH is doing. The economy has reached a place where it has stabilized now. It's one of the best economies in Africa today. But this does not translate to the ground. The only time it will reach the ground is through our councillors. How do you give a councillor in an election year? Election is 1 month today. You give a councillor 3,000 to do what? What is wrong with us, please? What is wrong with us? What is wrong with us? This money, where are we taking it to? We are playing with power. We are seriously playing with power. The type of politics we are doing is the politics of opposition. In a ruling party politics, there is nothing like sacrifice. There is nothing like volunteer. Volunteering and the sacrifice happen in opposition. We can't have the state coffer and tell people to volunteer. People go for campaign and they go back hungry. People are buying t-shirt, party regard, instead of getting it for free. What is wrong with us? Who are those people that are doing politics for us, please? You think, see, we are praise singers. Sometimes don't take what we say seriously. Our job is to praise. Whether the president is right or wrong, we are going to praise him. That is why we are called praise singers. But don't take some of things to say for reality. Go on the ground yourself and see what is happening. People are calling UPN the Akaso. Akaso. When a UPND person approaches, please come and join our party, they laugh, say, to go and join you in suffering. These are reality that I'm telling you. Imagine if one councillor go and tell them that we are receiving 3,000 per week for election. Those will fall and collapse. That is 12,000. 12,000 in a month. A councillor in an election. 12,000. God. we need to change. If we have to win this election as a ruling party, we need to bring out money. People must see food, not just giving them food. Our people must go to manufacturers, meal manufacturers, and subsidize meal. Cooking oil, all these things must go down drastically. Petrol must come down. It's better to lose money and win an election than to lose election and win and have money. Because if we lose election, those people will still come and squander that money that we are protecting. In fact, they will come and mess it up. Then we now regret. Number one, we'll go to prison. Number two, the same money we are protecting, it will not be there. It will be wasted. Imagine leaving Mundibile with 6.7 billion. In the next 6 months, if you go there, you will not find up to 1 billion there. You will waste it. It's even better we remove 1 billion from anywhere and use it wisely during this election. And they come back out and recover ourselves after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years.